We're now into Molasses Moon number 6. Decided I'd show the book cover again. And the Kindle cover. I left off yesterday giving the list, or the title review as I called it, of the sextet that we've been promoting in this book, Molasses Moon. And the last sentence I read was, "The wild card book is the seed of time, a Genesis story taking place at the beginning of time, in a place where Earth would have been if it had existed." Reading on. The two playful light beings from which Ben and Maya originated, Earthon and Earthy, without knowing what they're doing, plant the seed of time. The act which begins physical reality, the same physical reality that eventually evolves into the mess we're in now. I only narrate in that tale what happened with Earthon and Earthy way back then. I couldn't take the time to trace their history beyond their first oops. There is no original sin in my version of the beginning. It was hard, but fun, to semi-explain the current day mess without using sin with capital S, capital I, capital N. The problem sort of began from an uninformed, unfortunate choice having to do with the misuse of force. It's nearly 4 o'clock. I have to know what Captain Picard's up to, so I'll wrap up a few loose ends in revisions, then head downstairs for the day. Carefully. I'm satisfied with March 3rd. I can let it go. And then there's an asterisk and the beginning of a letter. March 4th, 1994. Mr. John Nuff, NUFF, publisher. Perigee Books. The Putnam Publishing Group. 200 Madison Avenue, New York, New York. 10016. Dear Mr. Nuff, according to Jeff Herman's Insider's Guide to Book Editors, Publishers, and Literary Agents, you work with a wide range of commercial nonfiction, including humor and how-to. Having worked nearly a decade on various works of fiction, I've recently switched to non. Molasses Moon is the result of experience, introspection, and lighthearted, pithy humor that's been marinating 46 years. And remember, now I'm 64. I'll never forget. Though it's not a cookbook, it does have options about cholesterol phobia. Opinions. It does have opinions about cholesterol phobia, since its author has never had it. The manuscript is not about food preparation, but about book preparation, as in getting fiction published in the 90s when you're an unknown, non-ecological hermit from an isolated small town in the foothills of the Rockies, nestling 400 adults, kids, goats, donkeys, dogs, and cats. Though my style is quick and colloquial, my humor isn't homespun. I haven't been a hermit in Rockville all my lengthy life. It's amazing. I thought I was old at 46. And of course, that's an aside from now. As the story goes, a copy of this letter goes into Chapter 4 of Molasses Moon. Request to see the manuscript. 4 chapters and growing fast. It may be finished by the time I hear from you. Not to imply you may be slow in responding, but that I swear I'm writing, R-I-D-I-N-G, rather than writing molasses. It's not the creation speed that gave the manuscript its title. Enjoy the ride, enjoy the rich and gooey ride, and sign my name. Onward. March 4th, 1994, Miss Elizabeth Lerner, editor, Houghton Mifflin Company. Eventually you'll see some, usually kind of interesting and I don't know what you'd call them, hilarious letters, responses to some of these queries that are going out now. Houghton Mifflin Company, 215 Park Avenue South, New York, New York, 10003. Dear Miss Lerner, according to Jeff Herman's Insider's Guide to Book Editors, Publishers, and Literary Agents, you work with literary fiction, popular psychology, and social cultural history. I'm not sure whether to offer a review of a literary fiction manuscript written to a wide audience for mass market sales, or of the nonfiction manuscript on which I'm currently working. My major work of fiction is a blend of autobiography and far-fetched fantasy, a satire sextet, raving Ayn Rand, yet luring Shirley MacLaine fans. Since nonfiction is easier to market to editors, I'll offer Molasses Moon first. I'm cheating doing that anyway, since Molasses is a marketing tool for my fiction. The story of a decade of writing and attempting to get my sextet to market. The mood of this manuscript isn't at all serious. It's lighthearted, fast-reading, colloquial, pithy humor, as well as culturally revealing and psychologically intriguing. You could call it a hilarious history of how to remain sane, solvent, and silly during the long, ghoulish process of becoming a best-selling author of fiction. As part of this process, which I'm journalizing in Molasses Moon, a copy of this query will be merged from my letter files into my Molasses files. Feel free to request this manuscript or more information. Otherwise, I expect no response. Oh boy, and one more query letter. That's from now. It's nearing 2 o'clock. I'm actually wanting to go downstairs and take a nap, yawn. But I like to accomplish more in a day before leaving the keyboard. Daydreaming over a tuna sandwich for lunch, I was thinking I should probably tell you how and when the seed of time fell into the sextet. To tell you that, I'll have to first tell you about Dale Ward and how Catherine Kay, my manuscript specialist and first literary agent mentioned above, handed me over to him. By June 1985, Catherine was moving from Portland to Seattle and losing interest in the agenting business. After all, I was her only client, and a few submissions of The Rose and the Pyramid hadn't been even remotely promising. In her 70s, Catherine didn't have time to waste on the impossible. This lovely woman had already worked 5 months typing clean copies of my manuscript with the understanding she would get a 10% commission if she was able to place my manuscript with a publisher, and $10 per hour paid for the typing. To be paid, remember this is 94. In those days that wasn't bad. To be paid after we sold the manuscript, also since she was a very fast typist and very accurate. We loved the book so much, we knew the first editor to read it would fall likewise madly. I ended up trading astrological counseling for the typing, still holding great appreciation for my favorite KK. I have continued from Catherine's departure to now, regularly sending queries and manuscript submissions in various styles to various publishers and agents. Having become a close friend during our work together, Catherine didn't want to feel she was abandoning Maya Gem when she moved. She introduced her to Dale Ward. a business consultant offering high-powered services to American Express, Citibank, etc. He could transform anything into greater commercial success, and his fees weren't shy. As he said, he worked with companies with deep pockets. Huge corporations were happy to pay $2,000 per hour. No, per day. That's good too, since his advice saved them millions. And this is true. Having fallen for the rose as readily as Catherine and I had, Dale offered to work through the manuscript page by page, reading it aloud, stimulating me to commercialize it as much as possible. Because the project was so far from his norm, because he enjoyed the work so much, it was rejuvenating to him, and because any pockets I had would have been minuscule and full of holes, Dale refused to charge a fee or accept any credit. He's getting it now anyway. Thanks again, Dale, for your time and talent. The dear man even paid me for a few astrological charts for his two bright and lively kids. They charged up my ability to fall into hysterical laughter at their ad-lib stand-up comedy routines. They were good, and boy did I need that type of tear-producing, stomach-cramping, breath-stealing laughter. Thanks, Dion and Tyler. The major changes wrought as a result of the Dale-Maya mental merger can be seen in the story's beginning, in my creation of Rotar, in the added poetry, and in the chapter in which Ben searches his soul while flying his airplane over LaGuardia. Being a pilot himself, Dale nearly wrote that chapter word for word. I interjected some of my style and wording from a tape recording of him imagining himself as Ben, flying and thinking. During one of our brainstorming sessions in which Dale questioned me about Kashmir and Maya's life there, we found ourselves all the way back to the beginning of time, with characters renamed Earthon and Earthy. The seed was planted in these conversations with Dale during June and July 1985. Sometime in July, Dale flew to Africa to join his wife Dusty, and I flew to San Diego to visit my ex-husband and his wife Diane. It was an unusual three-way friendship with Mike, Diane, and I. Knowing I was having a dangerously difficult struggle financially and emotionally, having put all my eggs and time in the rose basket and let my astrology consulting practice die, these two gems sent me plane fare to San Diego for a lengthy visit. Even though they expected nothing from me, I kept house and shined their automobiles as payment for room and board until October, when my Aunt Annie sent plane fare for me to fly home to Colorado. I still maintained, sort of, a one-room apartment in Portland, but didn't know if I'd be able to return there. Pleasantly and peacefully alone at Mike and Diane's house during the beautiful Rancho Santa Fe days, I began, on August 25th, a new novel, The Seed of Time. In a pool of sunshine, over a lace tablecloth covering a dark cherry dining table, I typed and typed and typed on my portable Canon Type-Star 6. My life was depending on it. That novel was stalled at about 3/4. I know how it's going to end, but I haven't wanted to go back to it until one of the novels relating to it becomes a bestseller, or at least until I have a contract for the Gem Project, and the publisher wants it completed. I don't know why, but I did want to wait to finish that work. Wait until Maya sees the light at the end of the tunnel, I guess. The style and mood of that work is so ethereal, different from the others in the sextet. Maybe I haven't been able to get that loose or childlike. If the mood strikes sooner, though, my fingers will be warming the keyboard with the unfortunate wine goblet scene of the prime cause event of Pauron and Weconian, moving white letters rapidly across my blue monitor screen. Well, that was in '94. Now I have word. So when I say I have a completed sextet, the sixth or the first, wherever we place the seed, is truly only 3/4 finished. I haven't typed it into Gemstar, my pet name for my Franklin 8000 PC. Boy, that was a long time ago. The manuscript is in the original format, the sunshine, cherry, and lace supported Canon type store made in 1985. Thus, morning did not exactly come as it did in the rose. In fact, it isn't here yet. Though I love dearly and enjoy deeply, and wouldn't be alive without Tom and my family here, I miss Catherine and Dale, Mike and Diane. It's nice to have real people to work with in career-related pleasures. Though I seem to belong to my work as well as to Tom, I'm not a total hermit. That brings us to Chapter 5, What's Between the Moon and New York City. That might be a good pausing point. Leave you to think about that. I still wonder, I'm not sure. At this point, it doesn't matter anymore. I'm here. How you like them apples?